What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video here. We have a lot to talk about going into this next week's trading week. The market looks absolutely epic. We have some very key events happening over this next week as well, and we absolutely have to break down what was happening towards the end of this past week, because it is incredibly important to understand those concepts for what we are about to see moving forward here in the market. And as always, we're going to be covering some of your guys' favorite names here: Nio Palantir, Sofi Amd, and my baby AMD here, going over the most relevant pieces of news and also the charts in the short term so that you guys can get an understanding of what to expect next in terms of the price action. So before we get into all of that information, guys, if you guys do enjoy the information and analysis that I provide for you guys in these videos here, make sure you go down and hit that like button. It costs you nothing to do it, but it helps me out a whole lot in spreading this information out to as many people who actually want to learn. And again, if you're not subscribed yet, make sure you guys are, and turn on notifications so you're notified every time these videos do end up getting posted live. And as always, massive shout out to all of the members of my private trading and investing community, Less Trades More Profits. I'm going to throw up some of the gain screenshots on the screen right here, guys. Again, as you guys know, nobody is doing the things that we are doing in the market. We are doing things that the trading community has literally never seen before. That's why Instagram banned me. YouTube tried to give me community guideline strikes for the giant big YouTube internet felony of just showcasing some absolutely insane results, guys. I mean, again, 30 10x plus trades over the last 3 months here. Now, what I will say too is that once you guys go through and watch those learning curriculum videos, nailing the big trades is the easy part. The value in the group there, again, in terms of the trading perspective, really comes in making sure that you guys are preserving capital. Just think about what we've seen over the last couple of weeks here. After we saw that tweet from Trump on Friday, we shifted our focus. We made sure that we were either taking no new positions or we were going to be sizing things very, very small. This is something that I was harping on time and time again, but with the way that the market is looking going into next week, you guys definitely do not want to miss any of these epic setups. So if you guys want to join us in there, make sure you guys check out that link down below and use code October for 50% off your first month. Remember, at the end of November, prices are significantly increasing for LTMP. Make sure you guys lock in the lower rate before then. But I will give you guys a little freebie. I'm going to be going over 3 awesome setups here for you guys going into this next week at the end of this video here. One of them I know a lot of you guys are really going to like, so make sure you guys stay tuned for that towards the end of this video here. So let's get into everything here. First things first, we saw a very positive reaction out of the market here off of the CPI data that was released. So the consumer price index showed a 0.3% increase on the month, putting the annual inflation rate at 3%. Economists surveyed by Dow Jones had been looking for readings of an increase of 0.4% and 3.1% respectively. The annual rate reflected a 0.1 percentage point uptick from August here. Now, again, let's put this into context here. So when the overall market is going to be expecting a certain number to come out of this inflation data or NFP or any one of these other big pieces of data, coming in on the lower side, especially on this inflation data that was released, can be taken pretty bullishly here, and that's exactly what the market did. Now, if you're kind of looking at this in a bubble here, 3% year-over-year inflation is obviously well above the target that the Fed has been outlining for everybody forever here, that 2% long-run target on inflation. So why is the market reacting positively here to an inflation reading that is still below expectations, but well above what the Federal Reserve wants to see? Well, we can think back to what Jerome Powell was saying at the last Jackson Hole Symposium. The Federal, and this is something that we've been saying all year long, the Federal Reserve is going to be okay with letting inflation run a little bit above trend for the foreseeable future, as long as growth is not sacrificed and the unemployment rate doesn't massively move to the upside. They're going to be more focused on the employment side of the dual mandate here, again, maximum employment and price stability, versus the inflation side, and also making sure that the economy can grow. Now, it is kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy, or kind of a cycle here, where if they do focus too much in on growth and turbocharge the economy, that can lead to more inflation. But again, that is going to be a mid to long run effect there, not necessarily something that we are going to be seeing in the short term. But that's kind of why the market here was reacting very positively to that CPI reading. And then when we come over and take a look at these rate cut expectations going into the end of the year, not a whole lot has changed. Again, we do have about a 98% probability here of 50 basis points more of rate cuts going into the end of the year. So there are 2 FOMC meetings going into this end of the year, guys. We have a meeting this week on October 29th, and then we have a meeting on December 10th. The market is expecting a 25 basis point rate cut at each of those 2 meetings here. Now, thinking about this new increased level of volatility between the US and China here, and we also have some Canada stuff mixed in here that the market didn't really react to throughout the day on Friday. But over this weekend here, just in, US Treasury official says talks with China concluded for Saturday, very constructive. So, with all of these different tweets that have been sent out, all of the different posturing, we have to think about what is going on in the broader context of the global economy here. Is Donald Trump really going to slap these crazy tariffs on China here? Or does he really want to make a deal? No matter what you think politically about what is happening in this new administration, we have to realize that deal making is a big focus and a big goal of this administration, and they are going to do everything that they think they need to do in order to get something out of these negotiations and a favorable deal for the U.S. economy moving forward for what they view. So that is a very positive development here. And when we think about what has been happening in the broad market too, we have shifted again into this fear and extreme fear area on the fear and greed index. This is a very interesting development here in my view. I know we're spending a lot of time on this morning, but this stuff is very important, guys. When we see these big shocks to the market, again, if you guys watch my live streams every single day, for me, there is really no reason to be afraid of what is to come. We know who we're dealing with in the White House here. We know what their game plan is in terms of this political posturing with these negotiations. And most of the time, we can see these short periods of volatility that we saw over the last 2 weeks here. But then we get a deal, we get an extension of a deal, and the market is back to normal. And we can also see that reflected in the VIX here with this massive spike. The VIX is back down to those levels that we saw before that tweet storm came out and Donald Trump was announcing everything and all these escalatory efforts here as it relates to China. So just taking a look at the broad market here, we are also ripping right back to all-time highs, and we also got above that very key volatility zone that we have been talking about in these videos here on the live streams over the last few weeks. This is a very positive and bullish development for the market going into the FOMC meeting and a lot of these negotiations. If everything comes out kind of neutral or even relatively positive, we could see this market continue to move up. And the important thing here, going off of the title in terms of the short squeeze, a lot of the people that were getting trapped up at these levels here are going to have to cover their positions and start chasing the market higher. Now, in terms of short squeezes, we actually have another stock that is setting up very well with increased levels of short interest too that we are going to be talking about a little bit later in this video here too, and it is one of your guys' favorite names, so make sure you guys stay tuned for that. But let's get into some of these individual names here, guys. The first one, again, I think a lot of people's favorites that are watching these videos here, Nio. So looking at the daily time frame, again, we're looking at the daily here, and we're also looking at the weekly from a technical perspective. The daily is not in the best spot here. You are rejecting off of this daily 10 EMA each and every single time that we have hit it over this last week here. In order for me to say that the daily time frame on Nio is starting to look constructive, we need to see a break above this 10 EMA, a retest of that level, and a nice period of consolidation to maybe actually form a little setup for us here in the short term. But looking at the larger time frame on Nio on the weekly, we are still looking relatively solid. Now, we talk about this setup a lot. That last setup on Nio here that I outlined, the one of 30 10x trades that I handed out to the LTMP group over the last 3 months here, that was an absolutely epic one. We're not quite setting up as well on Nio right now. But I would say that Nio is kind of in a spot right now, especially for those of you guys that were entering this position around the same time that I was at $4.55. There's not really much to do with this one in the short term here. Like I always say, like a broken record in every video that I talk about Nio, it's always going to come down to their execution and whether or not they are able to deliver on these promises and the goals that they have outlined to shareholders over the last few years. And that is those profitability metrics. So we do have a couple of other interesting pieces of news on Nio that have come out over the last kind of 24 hours here. Envo L90 reaches 30,000 delivery. October volume poised to surpass 10,000 again. And again over here, Nio to unveil new flagship SUV ES9 in Q2 of 2026 here. So again, some positive news here, but at the same time, we can look at this news and say, okay, cool. We can look at these new developments with Nio every single day. But at the end of the day, we have to make sure we're focused on the big picture and saying, are the things that Nio is doing in the short term here going to set themselves up to hit those goals? Now, this year has really been the first year where the answer to that question is yes. So next one up on the list here, I actually want to talk about HIMS a little bit with you guys. We talk about this one in a couple of videos here. It's one that we haven't talked about recently, but HIMS is one that the last time that I outlined this one for everybody as being a decent spot to be initiating new long positions was on Thursday, August 21st here, and we saw a very nice move up here from this $43 area all the way up to 65. Now, HIMS is now coming back down and getting almost back to another touch of this 200 EMA, which it has shown time and time again that it loves to respect on this daily time frame here. And when you take a look at this right here, HIMS short interest 32.74%. This one, if it starts to get going, can definitely make some very, very aggressive news or moves in the short term here. And again, as you see over here, as of September 2025, HIMS and HERS saw short interest rise to about $4 billion or 31.4% of the stock float here as shorts are adding to these positions here. If we are able to see an overall market here starting to get a little bit more juice to the upside, something that is going to be, let's say, a little bit more of a high beta name or something that is going to be a little bit more volatile in the short term like HIMS can easily start to make these aggressive moves to the upside in the short term, and we might be able to get back up to that $65 area in the near future. Now, next one on the list, Palantir. So we are starting to make that attempt to the upside here. Again, they have that new partnership with Lumen. Palantir, from a fundamental perspective, just thinking about them as a business, they are doing everything that they need to in order to grow their government revenue side and also their commercial revenue side as well. And obviously, the market has seen that and given it the, in my opinion, pretty crazy valuation that it is currently commanding in the marketplace right now. Now, again, I gave this one out to everybody at $15 a share. It is now at $184. Again, congratulations to everybody that's been hanging around on these streams here. My favorite phrase, pay attention or pay a premium, guys. This has been an absolutely epic one. The weekly time frame on Palantir still looks absolutely awesome here. But this is going to be one that we're going to look for on a potential post-earnings move. Because again, we are getting too close to that earnings report. If you want to understand the post-earnings strategy and everything that comes along with it, again, that is the last video in the Swing Kings course section of the LTMP group. So make sure you guys go through that one before you consider taking any of these trades post-earnings. Again, it's a very simple strategy. We've talked about it time and time again. You have to know what you're doing. Now, same thing here. SoFi was looking really solid on Friday here. The sellers did come in and whack this one down here off of that nice move to the upside, almost to 30. But SoFi does have earnings coming up here this week. So again, we are going to get another snapshot into how SoFi is doing as a business. We're going to see where their user growth numbers are at, where the revenue numbers are at, and any other different developments and updates from the company as well, which is going to be very interesting to see. Now, again, SoFi is one that I gave out initially at $6.55. Then again at $13.60 on the weekly breakout there. The stock is over double from that area that I gave out to you guys on Twitter, on the YouTube live streams, in LTMP, everywhere. So congratulations again to those of you guys that are paying attention here. But right now in the short term, there's really not a whole lot to do with SoFi. Like I talk about time and time again, you have to be thesis driven with your investments on a medium to long-term basis here, not necessarily thinking about these arbitrary price targets that a lot of people are going to throw out at you. Now, the last one that I want to talk about with you guys before we get into a couple of these awesome setups here that you guys need to be paying attention to going into next week, AMD. AMD has been an absolute monster this year. Again, this is one, I own this stock at $11.39. It is now back to the #1 spot across all my holdings here, across all my portfolios. Again, $252 a share, $253 a share. This one with this daily chart here going into the rest of Q4 here with these OpenAI partnerships, with this new partnership here as well. AMD stock pops nearly 8% on not a partnership, that IBM can use its chips for quantum computing error correction. AMD is set up to have a lot of success over the next few years. I would not be surprised at all to see this one over $300 a share in the near future, and potentially maybe even if the market holds up here, over $500 a share if they are able to continue executing over the next 5 to 6 years here, which would be absolutely awesome to see. Now let's get into a couple of these setups here that you guys can look for going into this week. Now, the first one is one that I want you guys to start paying attention to. It's not necessarily one that I'm interested in fully this week. We could, I don't know. We will see if it ends up setting out. And that actually is Open. On the weekly time frame here, Open is starting to look very, very solid again. So just kind of breaking this one down here for you guys. Obviously, we have seen Open go on these massive runs to the upside. Going back to the daily time frame here, this is one that I handed out to all of you guys at this $2.65 break here on this absolutely massive breakout. So congratulations to everybody that nailed this one. As you guys all know though, if I like a stock at $2.65 and then it's trading at $9.80 and everybody is asking me about it, obviously I'm gonna say it's not a smart decision to be buying it at 3 times the level that I was outlining this one at. But Open has had a couple of weeks here, really 2 months, to kind of start consolidating and balancing out here. And it is possible that if this one starts to tighten up here and form these tighter ranges on this weekly time frame here over the next couple of weeks, this could set up for another very significant move to the upside, especially with these rate cuts coming into effect here. We are bouncing off the 200 EMA on the weekly time frame here. This one is definitely one that you want to keep on your radar. Now, the next one is Lowe's. When we take a look at stocks like this, guys, again, the home builder sector is looking very, very solid here. We can look at XHB. Again, shifting these downtrends, setting up here. Home builders in general are looking really solid. Again, that sector analysis is really important. For those of you guys that are hopping into LTMP, once you see the setup, you can't unsee it. It is one of the most powerful setups in the market. Actually, the most powerful setup in the market. There's nobody else out there that has handed you guys 30 10x trades in a very short period of time here. That's why the group and everybody in the group is as successful as it is and as they are there, and why I'm able to showcase better results than anybody else in the trading space there. But again, if Lowe's can break above this 247 area here, we could go on a very, very significant run to the upside. So that is the entry signal. If you guys are going to go out and randomly, willy-nilly buy short-dated calls off of the things that I'm saying in this video with no strategy, don't expect to have a lot of success here, guys. But if we are able to break to the upside here, we could easily see a nice push up to this 257 area here, or even higher if overall we are going to see this money flow back into the home building sector. Now, a lot of this too is kind of happening in the real estate and home building space right now. We are seeing a lot of very positive setups, and the next one is Airbnb. So this one was one that I handed out to you guys back in this area down in here. We did see a decent move to the upside, but Airbnb is now setting up for potentially a massive move to the upside. Now, you guys should probably understand this by now, but every single trade setup that I outlined for everybody has the potential to run multi-hundreds, if not multi-thousands of percent. That's why the group is as successful as it is. There's a massive margin for error there. Just think about if you hit 1 or 2 of those 30 10x trades that I handed out to everybody. Again, it would be relatively impossible for you, again, to go back down to even break even in your account there. Let's say you hit 2 10x trades with 1% risk, you're up 20% on your account, you have that same 1% risk. Well, you'd have to lose 20 trades in a row in order to just go back to break even. That is, again, not impossible, but highly unlikely. So the only thing that I would worry about with this one here is that you are consolidating right under this daily 200 EMA, but the breakpoint 129.50 here is above that 200 EMA. Now, ideally, I'd love to see Airbnb consolidating above this 200 EMA. But again, this is still one that is looking really solid on this daily time frame here. And easily could make some significant moves to the upside. So if this one does break, I mean, you have a lot of room to the upside here. First target, potentially 130, 113, and then you can continue riding the trend higher. And maybe this is going to be that next big 10x trade that the LTMP group is able to nail. So guys, that is going to wrap up this video here. If you guys did enjoy the information and analysis that I provided for you guys in this video here, make sure you go down and hit that like button. It costs you nothing to do it, but it helps me out a whole lot in spreading this information out to as many people who actually want to learn. And again, if you're not subscribed yet, make sure you guys are, and turn on notifications so you're notified every time these videos do end up getting posted live. But until next time, guys, I will see you. Peace.